So something I've been thinking about recently is that the most important progress people ever make is almost impossible to see, yeah? You stop yourself saying something hurtful, yeah? You pause before reacting, That argument never takes place. And I think that's strange because those moments can matter far more than we realize, yeah? A lot of progress doesn't look like something's happening, yeah? So sometimes progress is the thing that didn't happen, yeah? The message that you didn't send, the comment that you didn't make, yeah? The the old reaction turned up. It stood there for a second, but it wasn't allowed on the steering wheel. Yeah, it didn't get control, and from the outside that's nothing. But 3 seconds, 4 seconds, it's just a moment. But inside that tiny pause, there might be years of work. Yeah, years of saying the wrong thing. And then you regret it afterwards. Yeah, you try to apologize, you do it badly, you try and apologize better, and eventually you realize, usually after you've caused too much damage, that winning the argument wasn't actually worth what it cost. And then one day that moment comes again, the same feeling, the same heat, that same sharp little sentence sitting there ready to go. But this time you catch it, you stop it, you feel it, you know where it leads, but you don't say it, yeah? Now, nobody claps, nobody even knows, yeah? The conversation just carries on. And that's that's a slightly annoying thing about quiet progress, yeah? Doing something better feels like nothing happened, yeah? You make the mature choice and life just moves on, There's no fanfare, there's no music, there's no certificate or medals in the post, yeah? Nobody patting you on the back for, not being the worst version of yourself for once, which is rude, quite frankly, you could do with that support. But that tiny moment might represent years of growth. But because it prevented damage, instead of creating something visible, it can feel like it doesn't count. But it really does, yeah? It really does. That might be one of the quietest forms of progress there is, yeah? Because when we talk about progress, we usually talk about the visible stuff, yeah? Whether it's, weight lost or money saved, promotions, qualifications, whatever, things that people can point at, things that other people can understand quickly. And yeah, I'm not saying those things, of course those things matter. Yeah, I'm not pretending they don't matter. But I think some of the biggest changes in a person's life happen in places where no one else can really measure, yeah? It's just that different choice, yeah? That pause, just taking that breath, yeah? That bad day that just stays a bad day instead of becoming a bad month, yeah? That matters. A lot of people underestimate how much progress there is in shortening the damage, yeah? Not avoiding every setback, yeah? Just not becoming someone who never struggles, yeah? Just recovering a little quicker than you used to. Maybe a bad mood used to take the whole evening. Now it just takes half an hour, yeah? Maybe one mistake used to wreck the week, but yeah, now it annoys you and then you just get back on with it, Missing one gym session used to turn into 3 months away. But now it's just, that's not ideal, but back on it tomorrow. Nobody posts the progress photo for, not spiraling as badly this time, but maybe they should, yeah? Because that is progress. That's real progress. And quiet progress is easy to miss, just because from the outside it looks like nothing happened. But nothing happening is the whole point. It is the argument that didn't happen. It's the spiral that didn't happen, That old pattern didn't get to finish the job. That's not nothing. That is somebody changing. Probably awkwardly, definitely imperfectly, but they are changing, yeah? I notice it in myself. There's things I handle differently now. Not perfectly, not even close to perfectly, but differently. And that distinction matters. Because if you're waiting for perfection, you'll miss the progress completely. Things that would have completely thrown me now, they just knocked me sideways for a bit. They still knock me off, but you recover quicker, and that's the whole thing, yeah? You know, things that would have turned into resentment, they now become that conversation sooner, get into that explanation, that understanding, things that, instead of questioning everything, sometimes it can just become, I'm tired, can we just leave this for now, yeah? Which sounds small, it doesn't sound like a big change, but it's huge change. Recognizing that you are tired instead of deciding that you're failing is a massive shift, yeah? Because that old version of you, they might have turned that tiredness into shame or anger or, criticism, either on yourself or someone else, And this newer version of you, they might still feel all that starting, You might still feel that old road under your feet, but you notice it sooner, and you can interrupt it before it takes your whole day with it. And that is progress, yeah? It doesn't get applause. It doesn't change the atmosphere of your life, but that changes how people experience you. Yeah? That changes how you experience yourself. And that's the strange thing, yeah? Once you've earned that kind of progress, it very quickly starts feeling normal, yeah? You don't just wake up thinking, look at me, emotionally regulating like a champion, unless you do, in which case, well, bully for you. But how can I put it? Oh, God. Sorry, my brain's gone to fog here. Nobody else sees the full journey that you've been on, yeah? That they see you now. They see the pause. They see the calmer response. They'll see that there wasn't an escalation, but they don't see what it cost to get there. Yeah, and to be honest, you might not even see it either, because once that new thing becomes normal, the old fight becomes easy to forget. Yeah. So some of the quietest forms of progress can be the most expensive, yeah? You pay for them with mistakes, with regret, with just swallowing your pride. Learning the same lesson more times than you really wanted to need it, yeah? But then eventually, not perfectly, not every time, but sometimes you do something different. And we should all count that, yeah? Not loudly, just honestly. We need to count those moments where the old version of you arrives. Where the old version of you arrives, but you don't let them take over. Do you get it? Yeah. You don't have that argument. That bad day just stays nice and small. It's not about becoming a completely different person. It's just responding differently when that old version of you shows up. And if you're doing that, even occasionally, then maybe you're making more progress than you think. You choose how it ends.